In this video, I made my own poster of Moon Knight Marvel TV series inside of Photoshop. So in order to make this poster, I had to take a look at the official Marvel poster and then also take a look at what other people have made for the same series. After looking at all of that, I had a general idea of what I wanted to make and I wanted to keep it simple, so I jumped right into Photoshop. First of all, I made a general idea of how the composition might look like. I placed objects there such as Moon Knight and Khonshu. I got this image of Khonshu, which technically didn't work out, and I used some other images as well just as a placeholder. I used this half moon. That is what I was going with initially. Then I found this particular Khonshu image which looked actually pretty cool, so I decided to go with it and remove it from its own background. I found this on Google Images, so that's why, well, the background removal is not the very best. Now once I placed all of this is the composition I was kind of going with, but I replaced the moon with a full-blown moon because I saw some other particular person who made the same with a full-blown moon, so I thought that would look good. Now I kind of wanted to have those stars in the background as well, so I kept on changing the background image between the city and the star because I wanted to give that star look. So I kept on looking at unsplash.com or just Google Images to find good photos of a city and a star. I tried to, balance it out and try to overlay in the best way possible, but it was not exactly working out. Next on, I moved right into the moon. I wanted to make it look shiny and wanted to have that glow. So I had some of the inner glow because I wanted to have that kind of, touch in the inside, if that makes any sense. And added some more glow so that, it makes sense that there is a lot of, well, it's Moon Knight, the power comes from moon, so obviously the moon should be, well, glowing. Now that the moon is glowing, Moon Knight should be shining as well. So I added highlights and shadows, and I took a good amount of time as I was trying to make it as good as possible. I was trying to learn from my mistakes from my previous video that I made, that was Doctor Strange, so I wanted to make it as good as possible. So I have sped this up at a very fast rate, so this is not how quick it actually went. I went back and forth between this, but it in the end eventually worked out. Add some small glow on top of Moon Knight so that it looks like, obviously, well, the whole character is glowing from the front. It kind of makes sense because the flare is coming from behind and I wanted to add that, so it gives it that small touch. Then I went straight into Khonshu. He was completely white, so I had to reduce the white levels down a little bit, and I used the blend if mode to add those highlights in. It looked already pretty good, so I was kind of mixed whether should I add more highlights, but I ended up adding more anyway. I also took some amount of time on this as well and added some shadows at the same time to make it look pretty good. This did not take as much time because BlendIf actually took most of what I needed to do. I only added some highlights on the edges to make it, well, look nicer. In the end, I did the same kind of formula, added a glow on top of Khonshu so that it looks like, well, it looks good. It looks glowy, if that makes any sense. And it actually did look good, so I just wanted to add that kind of refinement on it. I wanted to hide that cross, but it was not exactly working out, so I kept it the same it was. Might look a little bit odd, but, well, it looked pretty nice. And then grouped them all together inside a folder, and I added some shadows to Moon Knight, especially the disc that he has. It looked kind of unrealistic, but added a lot more shadows to make it look interesting enough. I also added a little bit more highlights to the disc once again so that it looks good and shiny. In the end, I tried to make Khonshu look a little bit more darker. I mean, in the series, he didn't look that much white and especially not that much blue. So I tried to take the blue away. At the same time, I added more or tried to add more shine to the moon so that it looks good. For some reason, it wasn't looking great for me. I obviously desaturated the whole thing a little bit more, but in the end, I just went with the Moon Knight and Disney Plus logo to be added into the whole image so that, well, it looks professional. I don't know why it took so much time for Disney Plus, but, well, I did. Don't judge, okay? I tried to add some kind of haze on Khonshu, but it kind of didn't work out, so I kept it the way it was. Added some more contrast in the whole image to make it look, well, more important. I also added some glows on Moon Knight's eyes because, well, that was the most important thing in my opinion. Then in the end, I added some blur in the background, did more of some adjustment. I added once again the glow. I removed the original glow to add more important glow. So I played with flow and opacity to make it look good. For some reason, there was this gradient lines coming in the background, but eventually I was able to solve it and find out the actual reason of why it was happening at the very end. Then I added some refinements, gradient overlays, gradient maps, and I actually in the end just went on to Camera Raw Filter to add some texture and some highlights and make it pop more and change some colors here and there. And I think that kind of worked out in the very end, as this is how it came to look. I think this is a very simple looking poster, and I think that is what I was looking for. This isn't as close to that of Doctor Strange that I made last week, but it looks pretty good to me, and I think the simplicity is what makes it look pretty good. I also put a poll on Instagram to see which poster that people like, whether it's Doctor Strange or Moon Knight, and Moon Knight won by a small margin with 54% of people actually liking that much more. But that was them. What about you? Are you liking this poster? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like what you're seeing, then you can definitely subscribe to watch more such poster making of games and movies in the future. So definitely take a look out on that one.